Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news as we have the latest on Cole Palmer's transfer to Manchester United. Who could Harry Maguire be heading the other way? We've also got updates on Diomande, we've got updates on Adam Wharton, we've got updates on Elliot Anderson and Micha. Mbeumo talking about Amorim, Mainoo and Amorim. There's loads to get into. I mean, this is a Saturday morning bumper show and on a weekend where it's going to be a big weekend, hopefully, for Man United. We play Arsenal tomorrow, but absolutely loads to get into this morning. Got some interesting stuff to bring in you. Hopefully we'll get later in the show, maybe with the 8 o'clock show tonight, but some funny stuff as well. But how are you all feeling this morning? The start of the weekend, hopefully for many of you, and an exciting one at that. Look, right. I think yesterday's show, I needed to say things and maybe it wasn't a news show. So I'm very aware that this is a news show. So we're going to cover the news this morning. So look, Man United's Chelsea obsession, I don't know. Cole Palmer is from Manchester. Maybe he is homesick. Could Man United sign Cole Palmer? People have got very excited about this. Some people are saying it's just pure spin and nonsense to benefit United on a week where their revenues are down and everybody's waking up to the reality of Man United. So why not put a fake story? Is Cole Palmer the new Gareth Bale or Ronaldo? Oh, we're going to sign them and we're not. It's just spin. Well, Fabrizio Romano has spoken about it. However, the interesting addition to this story, I suppose, is that it hasn't really stopped. There is still this talk of Cole Palmer being homesick and Manchester United willing to take him and him wanting to come to Manchester because he likes Mainoo. Very interesting and far-fetched, I would say, but look, we'll work through it. However, there is a story coming in overnight that Harry Maguire is of interest to Chelsea and a number of Premier League clubs, and he could be leaving Man United as well. So what price a swap deal for Harry Maguire and Cole Palmer? I mean, well, you could do a swap deal. It wouldn't be much of a swap because we'd have to give them in excess of £150 million and they would give us nothing because Harry Maguire's out of contract. So technically, Harry Maguire could go to Chelsea and we could get Cole Palmer. But the element of the swap would be swayed heavily in Chelsea's financial favour with that one. But look, I mean, Harry Maguire is free to go wherever he wants to go in the summer. And I'd be very surprised if Chelsea were going to go for Harry Maguire. I mean, they're Leonardo DiCaprio FC. They don't go for anybody over 24. So why would they go for Harry Maguire at 33? I don't see that. However, this is what Fabrizio Romano has had to say on Cole Palmer. Also, Van der Ven. Sorry, I didn't even mention Van der Ven. We've got to talk about Van der Ven. He's in the title as well. So quite a few bits to go through this morning. However, this is what Fabrizio Romano has had to say. We've had rumours in England about Cole Palmer's desire to go back to Manchester, maybe to Manchester United. Palmer to leave Chelsea in the summer. In January, nothing is happening. And at this stage, Chelsea's position is very clear. They see Palmer as a crucial part of their project. Chelsea don't want Palmer to leave the club. Today, Liam Rosenior in his press conference said he's a crucial part of our long-term project. He said, I had several conversations with Cole and he's very happy here. Chelsea are not on alert for anything at this stage. Obviously, there will always be rumours around Palmer, a fantastic player, but as of today, nothing is happening and Chelsea are counting on Palmer at this stage. Well, look, you know my personal stance, and I'll give that in a few minutes, but we are here to address the fact that, you know, a lot of people out there might have different opinions. That's absolutely fine. It's all sort of stems from a curious source, really. I heard it on Sky. I've seen it in The Guardian. And basically, it just comes down to Cole Palmer potentially having had enough of London and wanting to move back to Manchester. And also having become a little bit disillusioned by a season that's been, you know, a bad season for him. He's had a lot of injuries. His manager has changed. His position in the team is sometimes a bit all over the place. And I think he's probably looking for some stability so he can win trophies. You're not going to find that at Man United, mate. Like, I would love Cole Palmer to sign for Manchester United, but if he came to Man United, he'd be coming because he wants to come to Manchester and play with Mainoo, not because we're the place to win trophies. I mean, if you think Chelsea's chaotic, give Man United a chance. So I don't think it's a logical move for one of the world's best up-and-coming footballers, and Cole Palmer does fall into that category. I don't think it's a good career move to come to Manchester just because you miss Manchester. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of Brazilian players leave Brazil and stay in Europe for 15 years to make the money because that's where it is, and I'm sure they miss home. So, you know, Manchester's not that far away from London and you do get time off. London's a fantastic city as well. And I think regardless of being homesick or wanting to come and play in Manchester, you've also got to figure out this. He will cost £150 million, at least. His contract runs till 2033. There is no release clause. So Chelsea buy these types of players so that if they have to sell them, they go for huge money. That's why he's on a large contract. So it's... I don't, it's unfeasible, realistically. Would I take Cole Palmer at Man United? I think he's a fantastic player. Do Man United need to spend that amount of money on Cole Palmer? No. No. Look, fantastic player, but we don't need him. We don't. It's not even like, would you take Donnarumma at Man United? Because you probably would. You'd go, I like Le Mans, but Donnarumma's better. But with Cole Palmer, the volume of money against what we've already got and what we actually need, I'd be like, is he massively better than Bruno or Cunha or Mbeumo or Ahmad? Is he massively better than them? Obviously, I think he might be better than some of them, but not massively better. So why would I blow 150 million plus on a player that's not massively better than what we've already got, where we're well stacked in that position, when I could be spending that money on the midfield and in other areas as well? And he's certainly not a traditional winger who can play off the left-hand side. So I think it's a non-starter, but I think that sort of summarises the story. And yes, I do agree that stories like this benefit Manchester United. Now, I don't know whether Man United have started the story, but these types of stories, some of us have lived with for a very long time, where you get beat by West Brom on a Sunday and on Monday you're signing Gareth Bale. Or you get beat by Fulham on a Saturday and on the Monday, Cristiano Ronaldo's coming back. And these stories are like 10 years old. This has been going on for years and years and years. And you sort of see these stories, but you have to respect the fact that some people are witnessing this type of behaviour for the first time. Some of us have seen this cycle year after year for 20 years. And it becomes a little bit tiresome because you get amazed by the people. I don't get amazed by the media. They need to generate stories. But I get amazed by our own fans who actually suck it in and believe it. Because it's not logical, is it? It's not logical on so many levels. And yet it becomes a story that distracts. And that drip, drip, drip effect of distracting you takes you away from the real issues at Man United, which is, how is Man United going to become a club that can compete at the highest level? And being linked to Cole Palmer is just a distraction. I don't see it happening. I really don't. And I stand by what I said. I do think he'd be crazy to come and sign for Man United, unless he's just desperate to come back to Manchester. I don't think there's any benefit to his career signing for us over Chelsea at the moment, simply because as much as I love the club and as much as I would love Cole Palmer to sign for Man United, I think it would be a mistake, as I'm sure Bruno Fernandes would attest to come and work for this ownership at the moment, you know? Peo says, for Palmer, it may be more about a childhood dream. Well, I had a lot of childhood dreams and I left them there, you know? I think signing for Manchester United because you supported them as a kid, you've also got to look at your career. I think it'd be a terrible career move. I really do. And I don't think it's the right move for Man United either. But look, I don't think there's anything in it, but we can monitor it, certainly. Palmer to United is a signing we need to make if we finish second and that last piece of the title. 100 million would be the instalments of and Belieber still, says Rajaf. Well, how much do you think Cole Palmer would actually go for as well? I mean, I've said 150 million pounds there, and some people have been laughing at the chat. But I don't even know if it would be that much in relation to would they want more. He's got a big contract. He's one of the best players in the Premier League. 5'8", says Replay. I don't know what this is all about. The team lineup has apparently been leaked for Sunday's game. I'm starting to be concerned that the leaker is inside the ownership of the board, says Maz Rawawi. I've not heard anything about the team being leaked for tomorrow. I laughed my head off. I didn't really. But I saw that old Pratthurst in The Sun had wrote an article about Man United have launched an internal investigation into who leaked the team for the derby early. Well, he did. I mean, where's the irony in that? He's wrote an article in The Sun about Man United launching an investigation to find out who leaked the team early in the derby, and he leaked it on Facebook. He knows who it is. I mean, welcome to 2026, people. I mean, it's mind-boggling how... Do you get the feeling that the IQ of the world is dropping or getting better? I think we're getting more stupid, I do. I really do. I think when I was growing up in the 90s, if you didn't have the answer to something, you had to go and find it. You had to go and find it. Nowadays, you don't even know what's real. You know what? Look, it might be controversial here. I saw an AI. Look, obviously Hillsborough was a footballing tragedy. Nobody should go to a football match and not come home. And the same as what Munich in '58, United football in grief. And I was on, I think it was Instagram yesterday, and I saw this, like you get the video clips. I saw this clip and it looked really pristine quality footage, and it was about Hillsborough. And I watched it for about 30 seconds and I was like, this is not actual footage. It wasn't even Hillsborough. It looked like bloody Sunderland's ground or something like that. And then it had just like computer, it was showing people like trying to climb out. It had loads of interaction, and I was like, how fucking disrespectful to replicate an AI video of what happened at Hillsborough with computer generated shit at the wrong ground. I just thought, we're jumping the shark here. We're going a little bit too far, I think. Anyway, go back to the show. Jacko says, homesick when he's only a 3-hour drive away. Not adding up. They act like he's playing in New Caledonia. Yeah, well, okay. We'll move on from Cole Palmer because I want to talk about Van der Ven and Elliot Anderson. So iPaper this morning are saying that Adam Wharton and Carlos Baleba have emerged as the more realistic targets for Manchester United than Elliot Anderson. This is because United believe he has his heart set on Manchester City. And so it begins. So basically, what you're telling me is, if this story is to be believed, and there is a little bit of addition to this. So I got told by a decent source about 10 days ago that Man City might move for Anderson before the end of January. And who would rule it out? I mean, they've gone for Guehi aggressively. They've gone for Semenyo aggressively. And I think if there was any hint that Forest would do a deal, they would do it. I don't think Forest will do it because they've still got Europe and they've still got a relegation battle. And it might not be in Elliot Anderson's interest to jeopardise his World Cup place. But I was told if there was any indication, they would go and they would go strong. So Man City want Elliot Anderson, and they will put the work in, and there's a very good chance they'll get that deal done. However, let's not forget what Manchester United have been doing through the likes of the Athletic and Ornstein and Ben Jacobs and Fabrizio Romano for months. Ever since we didn't buy a midfielder in the summer, it's been next summer we're going to go big. And Elliot Anderson's name has predominantly been used by David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano, the Athletic. He is now the #1 priority for Man United. And lo and behold, I would applaud myself and all of you who've been saying this for weeks. What will happen is we will be fed a name for months as a distraction, and then the closer we get to the reality, his name will disappear. It won't be him because he will be going somewhere else, and we'll move further down the list. So all this nonsense about we're not buying in January because Elliot Anderson's the priority. January is over in a week, and we're already getting, United might go for Baleba and Wharton because they're more realistic because Anderson doesn't want to come. And what happens in 2 months' time when Wharton says he prefers Chelsea, and we just end up with Baleba, which is what we should have done last summer. So look, anything can happen. Let's not predict it. But Elliot Anderson to Man City, Adam Wharton to Chelsea, and United get Baleba. What have we been waiting for a year then? I mean, you were literally talking to him a year ago. You've spun us for a year about you can't buy in January because you're going for Wharton and Anderson. They go to rivals and we end up with Baleba anyway. The never-ending story. Exactly, Henry. So, look, I am not surprised by this update. It doesn't mean that it's true. But my fear is that's what's going to happen. You chuck names out and you don't get them. Literally a year ago, David Ornstein, January transfer window closes. David Ornstein puts it out there that Man United are in talks with Kenda for a summer transfer. Everyone's like, it doesn't matter that we didn't buy anyone in January because we're talking to Kenda. Weldy signing. 2 months later, he's signing for Chelsea. I played the game. We've seen the movie before. So we'll have to wait and see. But Elliot Anderson, and again, we've just spoken about why would you leave Chelsea if you're Cole Palmer and how would we afford that deal? If you're Elliot Anderson, Pray tell me, why do you sign for Man United? If somebody can give me 3 reasons to sign for Man United that don't include we're Man United, then I will read them out. I don't even know why. And I would love Elliot Anderson at Man United. I think he's proven week after week after week that he is the right player. I think he is this season's Declan Rice. You know, when Declan Rice left West Ham, I think he's an absolute nailed-on success story wherever he goes. I think he's a fantastic player. I think the last 12 months he's had in football has been incredible. He deserves his spot in the England midfield. If you're into stats, he tears it up. But if you're into the eye test, the passing, the aggression, the energy, the performance, he's a goal threat. He's absolutely what many teams would want this summer. So profiling him as a Man United signing is absolutely brilliant. But why would he come to Man United? He's not a Manchester United fan. And you could sell a project. I'd try and sell a project. If I was Jason Wilcox, I'd retire. But if I was Jason Wilcox, well, no, not doing that. I'm Jason Wilcox. If I was director of football, I would be sitting down with his agent and saying, we want to build a team immediately that is going to take Manchester United back to the top. And Man United back at the top is a different animal to a Man City or an Arsenal. We have a huge name, we have a huge appeal, and if you are part of that, your name's going to go down in football history. And that's what our plan is to do. But if his agent or Elliot Anderson says, well, have you not been trying to do that for 13 years under this ownership? Why is this any different? I'm sort of stumped. I don't know what I say. The project I would have to sell to Elliot Anderson in March, considering he's going to want to pretty much know what's going on before the World Cup. I would have to be saying, I've got Luis Enrique coming in as coach. You're my midfielder. I'm bringing in Baleba as well. We're bringing in this mid-winger. You know, you'd have to sell him the project. You couldn't sell him predictions. I think people are too clever for that. Also, if I'm being completely blunt, I need to be writing a cheque for 250 grand a week. Wages. You can't play that game. With these types of players, you can't play that game. You can't go, we're reducing our wage budget, so you're on 150 grand a week. I just don't think we're not in a position to do that. You might get away with it if you're Arsenal. You might say, look, we challenge for the title every year. We're challenging for the Champions League every year. We're not paying stupid wages. You'll come into a structure full of bonuses, etc. But I think if you're Man United, we do actually need to pay the wages again, which apparently we're not going to do. So I think it's a hard sell. I do. Get 2 players, Jacob Ramsey and João Gomez instead, says Enchanted Angel. Well, one player we won't be getting, and it's not really breaking news, is James Garner. He's signing a new contract at Everton, if you haven't seen that. Van der Ven. So, where did I see this about Van der Ven? I'll talk about that one in a moment. Mickey van der Ven race. I saw it on Manchester Evening News. Team Talk claim Man United are battling with Liverpool for the signing of Mickey van der Ven. It said that they earmarked van der Ven as an ideal option to bolster their defence and have tracked his progress since his Wolfsburg's days. However, Spurs have got no plans to part with Dutchman and intend to secure him on a long-term deal. Real Madrid and Bayern Munich both reportedly interested. Look, the reason I mention this is I think it's a lovely little segue on from what we were talking about with Elliot Anderson there. How, even if another bit of spin, says Ash. Well, look, I'm in a positive mood today. A rare positive mood. It's the weekend. We've got a big game tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. And, you know, I'm absolutely fed up with the ownership, of course. I don't think the club's heading in the right direction, but you can't be miserable and moan every day. Sometimes you've got to just go, look, it's a news show, let's discuss it, and you're a fantastic community. And Cooking with Goldbridge is doing really well, and it's helping with my mental health. So, it's put me in a positive place thinking what I'm going to cook next. But the point is, too much information. Van der Ven sort of falls into another Cole Palmer story, doesn't it? It's like, would I take Van der Ven at Man United? Well, for me, it's a no, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But why would Van der Ven sign for Man United? It's like a fusion of Elliot Anderson and Cole Palmer. Why would he sign for Man United? Is he a childhood Man United fan? If he is, groovy. But why would he sign for Man United from Spurs? It's like getting out of the frying pan and jumping into the fire, because we're very similar clubs with light switch players and bad owners. And how would we beat Liverpool and Real Madrid and Bayern Munich to him anyway when we don't pay big wages anymore? It's a non-starter, isn't it? And I really hope that we are not going to see an avalanche of these types of stories over the next few weeks and months, because it's a long way till the summer. And if our fans are going to be gullible enough to swallow this, and they certainly swallowed the Cole Palmer story for 2 days, then it's going to be quite a tedious next few months, because I don't mind realistic, but these types of stories, for many of us, are nauseating in the sense that it's the old Gareth Bale story on a Monday morning when we've lost. We're not signing Cole Palmer. We're not signing Van der Ven. They're not going to come to us for a multitude of reasons. I wouldn't sign Van der Ven, though. I wouldn't sign Van der Ven. You want to know why? Because I still believe that you have to look at a player's injury record. And Van der Ven, for the way he plays the game, and I won't forget that goal he scored against us last season, by the way. I mean, I thought that was incredible. When he gets going, he's like Thomas the Tank Engine. He's absolutely unstoppable. But in fact, probably more Gordon. Thomas the Tank Engine was a bit weak. However, there's no doubting he's a top player, but he misses a lot of games. He does miss a lot of games. And when you actually scrutinise him, he's got hamstrings like bread strings, cheese strings, breadsticks. And we can't bring another player in like Mason Mount. And I'm not calling Van der Ven Mason Mount. I mean, that's like that's like calling, you know, a very injured person. No, I won't say it. It's unfair. Not on Saturday morning. But Mason Mount's a bad signing. You know, he's very, very injury prone. I wouldn't say Van der Ven's that bad, but I still think you're going to have a lot of problems with him for injuries. But he wouldn't sign for us anyway. I mean, I almost feel embarrassed to sit here and say I'm not sure I'd sign Van der Ven because of his hamstrings. He's probably sat there, if he was watching, which he wouldn't be, laughing his head off, going, "You're having a pop at my legs, mate. My brain ain't never signing for you." So, yeah, it's a load of nonsense, really. Load of nonsense, but there we go. What might not be a load of nonsense, though, and I thought this was quite interesting, Plettenberg talking about Diomande. Jan Diomande, signed for Leipzig in the summer, had a good season, has had a good season. Man United have been linked to him. It's a name that United have been happy to put out since they lost the race for Semenyo. Instantly, Diomande was leaked by the club to numerous journalists of a player of interest, or they didn't deny the interest, let's put it that way. This is what Plettenberg, who's based in Germany, has said. Leipzig are relaxed and are demanding at least 100 million euros for Diomande in the summer, provided his performances in the second half season do not stagnate. Several top clubs are hoping to secure him for 60 to 70 million euros. Leipzig will not go along with that. Diomande is expected to become Leipzig's record sale, overtaking Vardiel at 90 million euros, and Bayern Munich are also in. So, look, you pivot. This is the scary thing. You some of you might have figured out where I'm going here. You pivot from Semenyo, who is 25, Premier League proven, and tearing it up for 60 million. And you pivot to a kid from Leipzig for 90 million. And United are happy for that to be out there. Like the minute we didn't sign Semenyo, it was, yeah, we like Diomande. And I just feel like, look, he is a good player. I've seen him play a few times because we cover the Bundesliga on That's Football. And he is a good player. He has only been at Leipzig for 6 months. They will demand a big price in the summer. And they're not a football club that's naive. I mean, look at Sesko with us. They didn't mess about. They got what they wanted. So I'm not saying he's not going to be a future superstar. He could well be. But the ingredients, again, are hard to understand. The vision is hard to understand. I think right here, right now, Man United are quite, right here, right now, today, this minute, this hour, Manchester United are not in a bad position. We've just beaten Manchester City. There's a buzz around the training ground. We've got Arsenal tomorrow. Carrick's at the wheel. right here, right now, and maybe for the next few weeks, it's not bad. It's not too bad. But what I'm looking at is next season, next summer. This is not sustainable. Whatever this is with Carrick and these players, it's not sustainable. If Carrick stays, this team can't be the team next year. If Carrick goes, this can't be the team next year. We're already knowing that Casemiro's going to go. Bruno is up in the air. Maguire might go. Luke Shaw is on his last legs. Mason Mount's never going to be on his legs. There's a huge amount of problems with that team. And you can live in the moment, and it is quite exciting. But when you go to the summer, you do start to go, I don't want to think about that. That's taking me away from positive thoughts right here, right now. And this is what I mean. Anderson, we're being told about Anderson. Very, very difficult deal to do. Diomande, we're being told about Diomande because we missed out on Semenyo, and the club were very happy to put that out there. So hold on a minute. We are going to go for a kid because we missed out on a Premier League 25-year-old superstar for 60 million, and we're going to go for a kid from the Bundesliga for 90. That doesn't quite add up, does it? So we're going for another project for more money. And there's competition for him. And what if we don't get him? Where are we going then? So, just seen on X, United feel Anderson will choose City and believe Walton and Baleba more realistic. Yeah, we've spoken about that, Mohammed, on already. It's from my paper, you're right. Exactly. A few people in the chat just talking. Look, we can mix and match. It's a very busy show this morning, so don't feel like we're going to spend minutes on each thing and then leave it. We can come back to it. However, there are a few bits this morning that I want to get into. Look, first of all, this one, I don't even know where it came from. So I saw it on United Zone on X, but I feel like they've taken it from somewhere. I don't get this, right? Bit of a change direction for a couple of minutes because Brian Mbeumo has spoken about Amorim, so it's going to feed into that. But listen to this. Since the departure of Ruben Amorim, Manchester United rank first in the Premier League for XG, shots attempted and shots on target, and have the best XG differential and best shot difference. This tweet has had over 100 retweets and over 1,000 likes, right? Do I need to say anything here, or are you seeing it for what it is? Our manager is Michael Carrick. We're playing Arsenal tomorrow. Why are we still talking about Ruben Amorim? Ruben Amorim wasn't sacked because of results. He was sacked because he fell out with Jason Wilcox over transfers and formation, not results. Why are we talking about ranking first in XG on one game? Michael Carrick's had one game and we had a lot of chances against Man City. You cannot use one game against however many other games that everyone else has played and say we rank first. You must be accumulating everybody else. The tweet is propaganda. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. How can we rank number one off one game? You must be adding them to all of Amorim's games. And we already know that Amorim, when he was sacked, was in the top 3 for XG, shots on target, shots attempted. So I don't even get what the spin's meant to be there. Like, what is that meant to mean? But morons swallow it in and go, look at what's happened in one game. It's the Glazers at work. I don't know. It's crazy to me. But it's a starter for 10 because then there was an article from Simon Jones in the Daily Mail saying that, and I think I want to get this right. I don't want to get this wrong. It was about Mainoo, and it was essentially that Amorim, Manchester United, a new contract was agreed for Mainoo last year, but Amorim did not sign it off. But we were told very different things last summer by many different journalists. Last summer, and I'll go and get the tweets if you want, we were told that there was no agreement between Mainoo and the club, and that the club didn't want to pay 150 grand a week or 200 grand a week. I mean, literally, it wasn't even last summer. It was about a year ago. And it was the Mail who wrote that story. I think it was Chris Wheeler. But it was, I'm 90% sure the Mail wrote a story a year ago saying that Mainoo wanted 200 grand a week. I remember doing a video about it. So we're now being told that Man United offered Mainoo a contract, but Amorim wouldn't let him sign it. But a year ago, we were being told Mainoo wanted 200 grand a week or 150 grand a week, and Man United wouldn't pay it. And I just think, like, can we move on from Amorim? Like, it's just so, it's like, we don't have to move on from Amorim completely because he was here this season. But what I mean is, it's like this constant mud throwing, trying to make him the villain to protect you know who. And Amorim didn't even have the power to veto a contract. He didn't even have the power to veto a contract. He didn't have the power to veto Sesko. He didn't have the power to get Martinez. So look, we're spending too much time on it, but it's just don't swallow the nonsense. It's almost like it's being fed out from somewhere to try and, well, it's Operation Wilcox, isn't it? They're trying to spin the negativity of the last month against the board and blame it on Amorim. And you know what? In relation to Amorim, he's not even said a word. As part of his deal, he has an NDA. He can't say anything. So it's totally one-sided. You take your money and we're basically going to slag you off. Anyway, let's listen to something factual. This is what Brian Mbeumo said in an interview yesterday about Ruben Amorim. I'm really grateful for what he brought to me, bringing me to the club. I was really happy and I tried my best under him. Ruben was always telling us to work hard on the pitch. So under Carrick, we already know how to do this. There we go. Sorry, I've just been sent something here, and oh yeah, just some stuff on Sesko here. I wanted to bring this in as well. I think Sesko, there must be an Operation Sesko going on at the moment because the Daily Mail have said this. Sesko has built a close bond with Dalot. Oh God! Oh no! No! That's the worst news ever. No, I'm joking. Sesko has built a close bond with Dalot, inspired by Dalot's Ronaldo-influenced fitness regime. The pair regularly race to Carrington. Well, they better not be bloody racing unless they're on bikes. Because I've been to Carrington and it's one way. You know, you should not be racing down that road. People walk their dogs down there as well. It's an accident waiting to happen. The pair regularly race to Carrington to see who can be first in and use the club's upgraded facilities before training. In fairness, look, I've said this about Dalot. Dalot has always been a very dedicated, even at his time at AC Milan, in the gym a lot, very dedicated professional. The problem is, and we've all been there, you might have a mate who is down the gym all the time, you know, doesn't go out on a Saturday night because you've got a match on a Sunday, fitter than everybody else, but shitter than everyone else. Just because you go gym and you work hard doesn't mean you're a good footballer. So, I'm just saying, I'm explaining Dalot because some people would say if Dalot's in the gym and he's a model professional, why is he so bad at football? I'm sort of explaining it. Just because you put the work in doesn't mean you got the talent. But it's good to hear that about Sesko. We've heard this before. And also it says that he says he loves playing with Bruno Fernandes. There is a wonderful thing. Playing with Bruno is a wonderful thing. He's an amazing, exceptional player. He makes passes that not everyone is capable of. I especially enjoyed my first goal against Burnley because I knew he was the one who could deliver that ball, and it's the same thing in many situations. I'm really happy with him in that role and the passes it gives me. And I think, look, that to me is, if you want to talk about Amorim, and you know, I think he has been scapegoated in a certain sense, but he did make mistakes. One of the biggest mistakes he made was playing Bruno Fernandes in the midfield. I mean, it was never going to work, and it didn't work. And you put Bruno Fernandes back in a number 10, and you got the striker saying, I love Bruno Fernandes in the number 10 because he's the best number 10 in the league and you're going to get better service, aren't you? He also said, I'm more absent from social media. This is Sesko talking, especially since I moved to Manchester. I'm focused on my work, on my daily building and what I can improve. People react incorrectly to these things. If you don't know what they are saying about you, which nowadays is very difficult, I have simply found my way in this direction to remove myself from social media and live a life that is present. I tell you what, mate, I'm here for that in general. You know, I think social media has its place. United Stand on YouTube. However, I think a lot of people do live too much on social media and don't live in the present. So, and I think as a footballer, I don't know what social media does for you. I really don't. I really don't. I mean, look at Martinez reacting to Scholes and Butt. If he doesn't see that, he doesn't react to it. And I'm not criticising Martinez because Martinez is a very experienced player, but can you, I mean, look at Garnacho. Look at how he behaved on social media and probably still does. He's addicted to it by the sounds of it. He's always on it. And I think for a young player to have that mentality of I'm going to remove myself from it and not look at it and I'm going to focus, because the brief is clear. If you play for Manchester United, your job is to score goals and be one of the best strikers in the world. You don't need to be on social media reading about criticism or praise. Your job is to be the best striker in the world and work on that. So being on social media, what does that bring? Unless you want to watch videos about cooking or cats or whatever. If your algorithm's led by that, fine. But I wouldn't be delving into the football world at all. So look, I really hope that Sesko can deliver. I don't think he'll start tomorrow. Apparently, an inside source on Sesko has said he's the most dedicated young player I've seen here. Well, we knew that in the summer anyway. I remember that being said about him in the summer before he came here. So, look, positive interview from Sesko, and I am hopeful about his future at Manchester United. I don't know about you, but I do feel that he has the mentality, the dedication, and the work ethic, which sometimes has been lacking. I mean, I saw Jadon Sancho's interview, and I didn't even want to mention it, but I will. And he basically did an interview. He scored a goal, didn't he, in the old Emmerdale Cup? And he spoke. He threw Amorim and Ten Hag under the bus a bit. He was like, you know, it's nice to play for a manager that respects me or likes me or is nice to me or whatever. And I thought, mate, you're on 300 grand a week at Man United. You're a professional footballer playing for Man United. If you don't understand what the club is, you should never have signed in the first place. It's not the manager's responsibility to make your breakfast and, you know, brush your teeth for you. It's Manchester United. Look at the history. Look at the players we've had. You've either got it or you haven't. And if you think being at Man United, everyone needs to welcome you as Lord Jadon Sancho, then, you know, maybe you should go and play for other clubs. But that's, to go back to Sesko, that's what I mean. This is a guy that's getting up early, coming to training early, working hard, avoiding social media, not moaning about managers that don't put their arm around him. And whatever you think about Sesko, that's the type of mentality you want. It's Sesko over Sancho. That's what you want. You want players that are focused. Then the next thing you want is focused players that are talented. Because as I said, Dalot is clearly very focused and clearly very driven. Unfortunately, I don't think he's quite good enough. But you do need those mentalities. And I wouldn't knock Dalot's mentality and professionalism, because we've always known it's good. It's probably just not good enough for what Man United need, to be fair. But we do need more of those mentalities with the talent. Mohammed says, early prediction, the board will haul Carrick as his salary demands will be lower than Tuchel, Enrique or any other top manager, says Mohammed. I think in relation to Michael Carrick, there's probably one thing that you need to be aware of, if I haven't said it before. The British media are going to absolutely ramp it up. Like, the temperature's going to go up. I mean, Terry's basically Carricking already, isn't he? I was listening to the show this morning, which is fine. It's absolutely fine. If you want to be Carricking, that's absolutely fine. You make your own choice. But the media, who are not Man United fans, will turn this up. It won't be long until the call-ins, the pundits, the journalists are going for Carrick, right? You know why they'll go for Carrick? He's British. You know why they'll go for Carrick? He's an ex-player. You know why they go for Carrick? Because he'll be nice in the press conferences. And that ticks a load of boxes because it's a bigger story when it goes wrong. And they'll love a British coach. So they will push for Carrick. The media are going to push for Carrick. it's up to the fans what you push for, because the club does listen to the media. That's why they recruited a manager that plays 3-4-3 and asked him to play a back four, because the media were on about it. So I'm absolutely convinced that Carrick's going to get pushed for this job by the media. Just going to be dependent on what the fans do. I like Michael Carrick. I don't want him to get the job. I don't want him to get the job. I've been down this road before. I've seen it with Ollie. I don't want him to get the job. However, as I've said, I will assess it in April after 10 games, and where we are then, it might be worth revisiting. But my big fear is that even if Carrick does really, really well, it will be as an interim. We don't know what happens when he starts upsetting players. You don't upset players as an interim. He hasn't got enough players to upset. So in the summer when he has to buy and sell, what's his authority there? Do players want to come and play for Carrick and Wilcox? Are top players going to go, oh, I want to play for Carrick and Wilcox? Or are top players going to go, I want to play for Enrique? I think the manager market is so good in the summer. To ignore it, to take a punt on another ex-player, would be criminal. Like there are managers out there that are the goats of the game. Ancelotti, Enrique, Nagelsmann, Tuchel, Conte, they're all gettable. And you're telling me let's take a punt on another ex-player because he's had a good few months where the players have turned the light on. That light will go off at some point. Early prediction, that was from Mohammed. Apparently he watches Cooking with Goldbridge, says Ian. Hope you're doing well. Do you reckon Delo could surprise us tomorrow, whichever way, says Amit? Well, I think Delo will play tomorrow because I just don't feel any way that Mazraoui will start. Amos Ranking, thank you very much for your super chat. And also, got nearly 12,000 watching this morning. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe if you're new. 8 o'clock show tonight. Rise760 has given us a super chat here. He says, hi Mark. Last week was my first time at Old Trafford and Manchester. Love the people, love the club. It was a great win. Hope for another one this week. Mate, what a debut to make at Old Trafford. I mean, trust me, it's not regularly been like that for a very long time. And that, I mean, imagine that's your first game. Manchester derby. We absolutely battered them. The crowd was incredible. Exciting game. I mean, mate, please come every week because hopefully you're a lucky jinx on United because what a first game to get. Mate, that's incredible. Oh yeah, just caught offside say that Man United are interested in Felix and Micha from Dortmund. It said that Dortmund will entertain offers below 60 million euros and a canteen, and it could be a deal that United look at in the summer. In relation to Micha, I've always felt that he has got the physical traits for the Premier League. He's tall, he's strong, he's quick, he's agile, he's good in the tackle, he can score a goal. He's a good all-rounder. But is it the quality of midfielder that Man United should be bringing in? You know, it's an interesting one. What else have we got here? James Garner, I've told you about that. FA Youth Cup last night, did very well. Rooney played, JJ played, Obi played. I think we beat, was it Derby in the FA Youth Cup? Keep an eye on that because could be another year of us winning it. Always good to see the youth doing well. Shout out to them. And what else? Been through that. Spoken about that. Okay. Oh! I have to bring this in. Big news, Goldbridge joining MasterChef. Yeah, if you've not watched Cooking with Goldbridge, I'll drop it in the video description. But thanks everybody who watched it. Really appreciate it. Stay away from Dortmund, says Galv. Okay, look, I got sent this a couple of days ago, right? I do go on Reddit, but not for football. I tend to be on Reddit for like talks about Stranger Things or a boil on your arse or something like that. It can be quite useful. I don't really use it for Man United because I think there's better places for football. But I got sent this, right? And it was actually somebody who watches the United stand who defended me in the comments. But like, I don't know whether it's like just a stupid United fan or an intelligent fan. You might think he's intelligent, or a Glazer bot. But there is a Man United Reddit, and it's got quite a lot of interactions on it, yeah. And this was from yesterday. It got posted yesterday, and it's called "Mark Goldbridge is terrible for Manchester United." Right? So, okay, fine. What's this all about? You know, the Glazers are sinking the club. Wilcox is the worst director of football ever. But Mark Goldbridge is terrible for Man United. So I thought, let me read this because it got sent to me. On the back of Cole Palmer to Manchester United rumours, Goldbridge decides to remain negative where possible and say that it would be a different level of stupid to sign for Man United. How does this help anyone? So when Mark isn't actively brigading against our players like Bruno and Rashford, he's out there broadcasting to the world that signing for Man United, one of the biggest clubs in the world and a club ahead of Chelsea despite the chaos, is a bad idea. I know he's just one guy, but he's the one guy with one of the biggest audiences in football. Every internet fan knows him, always negative and thrives off it. Creates an awful atmosphere, rant over. Now, some of you are going to go, very, very good post there. But the thing that jumps out to me is, one, if you click on the author's name, he's never posted about football at all. In fact, it's his first ever post, or hers, bot. Also, Bruno and Rashford, yeah, I don't really go in on Bruno and Rashford. I got frustrated with them because they're two of my favourite players, and Bruno was being played out of position, and Rashford seemed to want to go, which he did. This has had quite a lot of interaction on this Reddit, but I would say whoever that poster is, and it probably is a bot, they are the problem, because how the hell? And look, you could replace that name with Gary Neville. You could replace that name with another content creator. But this is why you've got 20 years of the Glazers. And this is why you're going to get another 20 years of the Glazers. Because we couldn't be in a more obvious avenue of who is responsible for Man United's problems. And yet, people will still put stuff out like that, and people will agree with it and be distracted. I mean, it's water off a duck's arse. I couldn't give a toss. I find it funny. If anything, some people will have gone, who's Mark Goldbridge? And they'll search it up and they'll be watching now. Welcome to the show. Make sure you subscribe. That's how it works. Publicity is publicity. We've been doing this for 10 years. I don't really care if people like it or they don't. We've got a great community. That's how it works. What amazes me about it is that of all the things you could type about the problems with Manchester United, it's like blaming Deleuze. You might think Deleuze's not very good. You might not want him to play. But is Deleuze why Man United are shit? And this is why we fail. We cannot stay on target. We just cannot stay on target as a fan base. We can't. I guarantee you there's people bored of the Fulham protest already, and it's not even happened. Because they're probably thinking about Cole Palmer. Or they're probably thinking about whether Carrick should get the job. And the protests a week on Sunday will be a distraction now, because it's like, oh, wow. It never fails to amaze me how people do not discuss the real issues of Manchester United. And as I said yesterday morning, you take a look around other YouTubers, other X accounts, aggregators, and look at how often they talk about the real issues at Man United. It's almost non-existent. In fact, I think some of them are almost doing the club's work. In fact, I know 2 of them are, 3 of them are. But that's fine. If they want to do that, that's fine. If you want to be a Glazer, that's fine. But it's the fact that people don't see what's happening. There's very few people. Webby and O'Neill do it a lot. I like Webby and O'Neill. They do it a lot. They talk about, old school fans. They talk about the real issues of the club. But hardly anyone's doing it. Hardly anyone's doing it. And then you think, why aren't they doing it? And then you get sent stuff like that and you go, because this is why the Glazers survive. They're very, very, very good at manipulating at this fan base. Anderson transfer is more important than Palmer, says Jimmy. I don't think we'll do. I don't think we'll do either. I mean, we won't do Cole Palmer, and I really don't think we'll get Elliot Anderson. Honestly, I'm quite relaxed about Elliot Anderson. If we get him, it would be a fantastic signing. If we don't get him, I will just say what I said a few minutes ago. Manchester United have been talking to us for 8 months, leaking it to credible journalists that Elliot Anderson's our priority, and then he's going to sign for someone else. Been there before. A new contract offer is being readied for Mainoo, one that gives him parity with his other teammates, and he's expected to remain a big part of the season's plan. Well, just on this very, very quickly, just on Mainoo, right? Nothing to do with Amorim, right? A year ago, Mainoo wanted 150 grand, and loads of people said I wouldn't give him 100. Now we're going to put him on parity after one game. What's gone on at United then? Look, I'm a massive Mainoo fan, but I have a memory, right? A year ago, the contract that Mainoo apparently wanted was 150 grand a week. And most people were going, he is not worth 150 grand a week. It should be 100 grand a week tops with the ability to move up. We're now being told he's going to earn a contract on parity with his teammates. Well, that's a minimum of 150 grand a week for one game. So what's changed? We've had an ownership and a manager that wouldn't pick him and were happy to let him go. And then Carrick comes in, and after one game, we're willing to give him parity with everybody else. Well, the parity of everybody else is 150 grand minimum. Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro, Mount, Cunha, Mbeumo, they're all on 150 grand or more. So why, after one game, are we suddenly saying to Mainoo, you can have what you want? I mean, it might be bollocks, of course, but I'll be very interested to see what wage we give him, because I personally, I think I said 125 based on his potential. But a lot of people were like, he shouldn't get 100k. Be interesting, won't it? All I'm saying is, it doesn't matter which side of the fence you are on with that. It just shows how flip-flop the club is. 1 minute they're saying, we're not going to give you 150 grand. And then after one game, they're going, oh, we will give you 150 grand. But as Gotham says, you get the points. It's cheap to pay someone 150 grand a week than it is to pay 50 million pounds for a new signing. Right, thanks so much for watching. The plan for today is I am back with you at 8 o'clock tonight for the Saturday night show. And I'll have had a few beers tonight because I'm going to have a few watching the Liverpool-Bournemouth game. Come on, Bournemouth. And then obviously it's United tomorrow. But look, fantastic show this morning. Really enjoyed it. Good conversations as always. If you've not checked out Cooking with Goldbridge, please do support that. I'll drop the link in the video description. Have a great day, whatever you're doing. And I will speak to you all in a bit. If you want to join me on That's Football, we're live at about 5:15 UK time. Stay safe. Speak to you in a bit.